Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first AR or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined tonight by my co-host, Garth Over.
How are we doing tonight?
And our semi-perennial, more than biannual co-host guest, the director of rooftop operations, Craig Wexler.
Thanks, Julie. I mean, you just keep rolling with the titles. I like it. What is perennial? No, I'm just kidding. More than perennial.
It's kind of like
bicentennial.
Juneteenth. No one knows what it is. We just know it's a holiday now.
Oh, we know what it is.
Sure.
I know what it is. Because it's actually talking about the celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. Learned something new today.
So tonight is a little bit different format for anyone watching live who's like, all right, yes. Our buddy down in Georgia there who says, let's get started already since we started a little late today.
Yeah, that's our bad.
We're a day early.
We are a day early. So
we are a day early and 20 minutes behind when we're normally on.
Yeah.
But when we went through, we tonight had we had a little range day, so we'll talk a little bit about training and give kind of a final review on some 308 stuff. And I think we got some gear to talk about, a little bit of review, and a lot of training notes.
Yeah, so much to talk about. So where do you want to start?
Well, Garth, do you have your...
I do, but I feel like we have enough stuff that's going to be interesting. I don't need to do a random fact this week. So
I want a random fact.
All right, you want a random fact?
I want a random fact, Garth.
All right. Many consider the Springfield rifle, first introduced in the 1850s and improved over the next half century, to be the first modern firearm. It combined a rifle bore, breech loading, and brass ammunition cases, which produce a rapid-firing and accurate weapon. Why is it called Springfield rifle, though?
I do not know.
Go ahead.
Because it's got a spring in it.
No, I will.
No, I know you lit up right away. Okay. It's actually pretty simple. It was produced by the U.S. Armory
in Springfield, Illinois. Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yes, and the Springfield Armory that they talk about there actually has nothing to do with the modern company that produces the Saint and the M1A. They're wholeheartedly different entities, and the current company, Springfield Armory, actually bought the naming convention to it in the 70s.
So same, but not the same.
Not the same. And so they started producing it, which is not a dig against them. I mean, it's a brilliant piece of marketing.
Yeah.
But that's what it harkens back to is, that bygone era. And one of the things that they were doing with that breech loading is they're actually converting a lot of the rifles from the Civil War, which is why originally they were 45 and 50 caliber, because they were the muzzle loading rifles that they used in the Civil War and they had in surplus of. So they would take those and do a conversion to a breech load, which was where that breech load and lock came from.
See, that's why we needed a fun fact. Random facts by Garth.
And
Dooley.
Actually, it's called Useless Facts with Garth because I got tired of all the iTunes naysayers that said I didn't contribute to the show. So now I'm just doing one random fact show just to piss on them.
Well,
and someday,
this way.
And someday, you'll have something that I don't have.
I know it's gonna be great, and I actually think I might start looking for those to see if I can stump you every week. Sorry, there were no guns in the Bible, Craig.
But
there was a lot of killing.
There's a lot of slings and spears and jawbones. Samson brings down 1,000 men with a jawbone.
Yep.
And he tore a lion with his own bare hands. Okay, anyways.
Moving on.
We've got lots to do tonight, don't
Lots to do.
Yep. So thank you, Garth, for the not so useless fact.
All right.
While we get into this, as we keep rolling here, moving forward tonight, we have had Yeah, we can talk about did we do anything fun the past week?
We did something fun for the last 3 hours.
Yes. So this week was no. Do we have competition? No, we didn't have competition. This
Nope,
week.
we didn't do shooting competition this week. So
There was just an all in all. Our big event we did was actually tonight.
yeah, well, I mean, you and I did go out yesterday as well. So we're just yeehaw.
Craig and I went out on Friday.
Well, see, I didn't get a call.
You were working.
I didn't get a call yesterday. I was doing a funeral.
We actually gave you a call, and you said you couldn't do a Tuesday shoot.
That's right. I got a funeral.
Yeah.
Fair.
So we went out and shot a little bit yesterday. Garth and I did. And then today we put in some work. We actually went through and did
A broad spectrum.
Yeah, we did a broad spectrum or a full scale training day.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and we went in reverse order. We started at the long range stuff. I didn't shoot that because I don't care. But we went from 850 yards to 10 yards throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
850 to 10 yards.
Second shot.
Yeah.
Second shot. Just saying.
Yeah, and for anyone listening, we were engaging, the 850-yard targets with the 223s. We weren't using 308s. So we were
Or
actually
6.5 Creedmoors or Magnums or anything of the such.
we were using the SPRs, and both Craig and I got hits at 850.
How big is that target, Gar?
Let me go get a deal for it.
It's like a 3-foot gong, 2-foot gong.
It's probably like a 2.5.
Wow. Not too shabby.
So this right here is the size of the actual dog.
For real?
For real.
So I hit that on the second shot with a 55
Yeah.
grain.
So here's for all the viewing audience.
You can see it next to my face. If you're viewing it,
But you got a big face, Dooley. I don't mean that offensively. He's got a big face. Put it next to my face.
your face look the same size as my face,
There.
but it's about a 2-foot gone.
Yeah. It's a good centerpiece.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
So, yeah, we started with some precision because I got addicted to precision 3 years ago, like madly addicted, like spend too much money addicted. And Garth, you humbly accepted the challenge. Let me go on top of your silos.
Yeah.
And it was glorious.
Who doesn't enjoy grain bin shooting? I mean, it's the perfect gear stand and rifle platform to shoot from.
Yeah.
But here's the real question I got for you guys now.
Yeah.
Since you both rang steel at 850 yards with a 223, 55 grain bullet, and 68, I believe.
Yep.
In the event you need one and you want to go distance, would you grab the 223 and do it again if you had to?
So that's a
Dooley can answer first. Yeah.
well, that's one of those. That's a multifaceted question, because when you get into would I do it again, 100%. I loved it. We Greg and I took a class last fall, and we were running out to similar distances with the same rifles.
Yep.
And when we were running those rifles, it was a good course of fire, and we were putting it out that 700 to 800 meter range, and or yeeter,
Yeeter, yes,
the yeeters,
yes,
The Yeeters.
it's
and
gonna become a thing.
it's a thing.
I'll say, but you know what though? I've changed that rifle quite a bit this year.
Yeah, like I haven't.
Right. You haven't. When the class we took last year, I was running an LPVO, the Night Force 1-8, and the standard Daniel Defense barrel and everything that was in it. This year, I put the Night Force 2-20 on it and I put the Sons of Liberty precision barrel in it. And I am contemplating on changing up the buffer system a little bit, but that has the precision has been substantial. And absolutely not knocking the Daniel Defense barrel, the stock Daniel Defense barrel, which was the lightweight profile, was still, I mean, at 100 yard zero, I was averaging, about 1.5 inches, maybe slightly larger. With the Sons of Liberty precision barrel, I can get 3/4 of an inch out at 100 yards, especially with some of the better match.
You're sub MOA.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, and that's why it was fun to run it out tonight a little bit. we've done it a little bit. I also took a precision course this spring, and that was all bolt action. So, back to your question, Garth, would that be a go-to for a scenario like that? No, I kind of like to have Swiss Army knife choices of firearms. I would say that specific rifle, if crap hit the fan, that would be a go-to rifle.
Yeah.
Because I've got a red dot mounted at the 12 o'clock for everything 50 yards and in-ish, even a little more. I got to work on some more positional shooting, offhand shooting, because it's a heavy rifle. Yeah. It's a lot heavier than it was when I bought it new.
Well, the other thing is, again, I'll come back to situation dictates, because am I just trying to ring steel? Am I going to shoot a prairie dog? Depending upon what my target is.
Yeah.
At that range, yes, the 223 is still lethal, but you're losing so much, energy pushing out to that range.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's why we weren't hearing the gong ring at that range?
Right. You don't have nearly enough foot-pounds of energy when it hits at that point. Yeah. I mean, we're smiling that I hit it on the second shot, which was great. But out of the 15 rounds I put out there, I mean, I hit, I think, 3 times out of the 15 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, the spread, even with a precision barrel out of that particular rifle, it's not an 850-yard gun, but it was fun to shoot it.
So you're not going to kill whatever you're shooting at 850 yards, but they're definitely going to know something tickled them.
They're going to duck.
Well, you might.
Yeah.
But
they're going to duck.
Yeah. It's definitely going to make people not want to be there.
Sure.
And, because I want to say the bullet is probably going transonic somewhere around that range. Ish.
Yeah.
But as that, it's situation dictates, if it's only going to got 100%.
Yeah.
I would not hesitate to take that rifle anywhere with me. The one I was shooting, I built years and years ago. I built that rifle probably 12 or 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I built it specifically to run a long-range competition to quit doing. And so it's always just kind of been my varmint and coyote gun, because it was an accurized, heavier gun. And then that's got a 3 to 18 primary arms first focal plane on it that I really do like. I like that scope a lot. And it just does exactly what I need it to. If I was going to have that as a, something I was going to take out, adding a 45-degree offset or another dot on top would be a good call. But
well, exactly. I mean, my go-to, especially the rifle that I took to the class this spring, was my Seekins Precision 6.5 Creedmoor, and we were shooting out to a mile in that class. And I mean, it's a whole different ball game, whole different manual of arms and such like that. But precision is fun. It's addicting. I think the reason why I enjoy it is because for me as a pastor, my day-to-day job is reading and writing. And I have to wake up the other side of the brain, which is all the mathematics and the logistics and such. It helps that, I've got one of those electronic rangefinder binocular systems that I call it entering cheat mode. and there's some truth to that. But granted, you also have to collect the data. You have to collect the data of the wind. You got to collect the data. My next big purchase probably will be one of those Garmin chronograph systems.
Oh, yeah. Those are fancy.
And some of them you can actually mount to the rifle itself while you're shooting to gather the data. You never, when I took that class in the spring, our teacher told us the 2 most important things in long-range precision, besides learning wind, is the ballistic coefficient of the round that you're shooting and the velocity. Once you have those numbers correct, doing your part and proper fundamentals, it takes care of the rest.
And that's exactly why I don't enjoy the long range shooting, because I sucked at math in high school, was not good at geometry, and that's exactly what long range shooting is.
That's what I was really good at.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, no, thanks, not for me.
Yep. So yeah, precision was fun to start tonight, but then what we did is, what do we do? Then we got off the silo, but then we started doing shooting on the move type drills with our rifles and rifle to pistol transitions.
Before we moved into that, before we moved into movement drills,
let's
close out the chapter on 308s.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Let's-
yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna top off because those are two rifles that you and T&E.
Yeah.
What does T&E stand for?
Test and evaluate.
Evaluate.
Or traverse and elevation, depending.
Traverse and elevation.
All right, Nick, we've talked about them a lot. We've shot them at distance. We've shot them at close range. Do you want to do a breakdown each one, or you just want to give final thoughts on the whole thing?
So we'll a little bit of both. Like, what are the features you like most about the Anderson?
Honestly, there wasn't any super amazing features of the rifle. It was a nice rifle out of the box. We shot sub MOA groups with them and stuff. I mean, we shot that with both, but I mean, out of the box, it was just your standard run of the mill 308 AR.
Black.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It was a black rifle with an M-Lock forend. And Magpul
Is that the
furniture.
one with the A2 flashlight or
Yep.
anything too?
Yeah.
Nope.
There was nothing fancy about it. There was nothing really that was eye-grabbing to me that I went, oh, man, I got to have this rifle.
Was that the one with ambidextrous or was that the other one?
No, the other one.
And that's where you're at, Craig. I mean, the other one had the ambi stuff on it. It had the better muzzle flash. Out of the box, I got to give it to the Saber.
Yeah, like on pure aesthetics, and then there's a couple features. Those the ambi features are nice on that Saber rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and that, but also like you're paying a premium price for that.
No, well, that's it. And if you're just going with out of the box, how it looks, without even worrying about how it fires, out of the box, the Saber is a nicer looking gun because, well, honestly, it's
got a
few $100 more.
Well, and it's got a more ergonomically shaped handguard.
Yeah,
it's flat on the bottom, or I'll say flatter, almost triangle but not quite shaped handguard. It fills out really nice. There's some knurling and texturing on the extrusion. It's still an M-Lock, and then it had the stainless barrel and the ambi lower controls.
Yep.
And then it came with B5 system furniture instead of Magpul, which, that extra little bit of cheek weld area is nice to have.
No, yeah, aesthetically, it just was a nicer looking gun all around.
Can I speak to the ambidextrous stuff and all of the
Yeah.
extra bells and whistles that come with it? This is something that I've learned over the years, even just myself. I used to shoot competitively IDPA before I ever met you guys back in the day, and everyone and their grandmother had ambidextrous everything. And I competed with 1911s. Everyone wanted ambidextrous thumb safeties and yada yada. Absolutely. Does it make sense? Sure. Is it something worth investing in? Possibly. I would say if you're a person that's actually going to train to learn how to use it, cool. Because and Dooley, I know you're going to take us further into talking about training and such, but unless you actually train, you're never going to use it ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we can pretend that we're gonna, some other countries are gonna in our backyard, we're gonna all cry out Wolverine, and we're gonna have bloody hands and maybe lose a limb, and that's why we need the ambidextrous. We're always going to default to our basic level of training in the midst of that anyways. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not saying that ambidextrous is not worth it, but I would say if you're going to spend the money on having those features on a rifle, like I was even talking about on my SBR, would I maybe want to set that up a little bit different? Sure. What's that? Is the Magpul bad lever?
Yep.
So that way I can lock the bolt back. I might actually invest in something like that. Because with an SBR, loading an SBR, especially from prone, it's a whole heck of a lot easier to do and then drop the bolt rather than trying to shove the magazine up and rack it. And I don't care how much money and how quality of an AR platform rifle you have. I love it when people say, well, you should do a 28-round load on your magazine. No, you should be able to run a 30-round load. If you're paying premium money for a quality rifle, you should be able to stick the premium. I don't care who you are. Sometimes it just doesn't seat, right?
Yep.
But you start getting, especially if you're running prone and you're trying to put a 20-round magazine up in there, it's always easier to send the bolt forward, right? Well, learning how to manipulate that stuff is vitally important. So, yeah, I mean, I just got to shoot a handful of rounds out of both of those. My personal opinion, they were 308s. No, 308 rifles that kick like 308s a little bit out of an AR with the slim Magpul butt pad. I actually felt it. I actually didn't like it. If I own that rifle, call me a sissy. And yes, I go to the gym 5 days a week and try to work out. Call me a sissy. I would change the butt stock. Why? Because it actually kind of hurt shooting the dang thing a little bit.
Yeah, and that's where I'm coming from, Craig. I mean, honestly, if these are the only 2 rifles on the entire planet, I'm going to buy the Anderson manufacturing all day long.
Is that the one with all the ambi stuff?
No.
Okay.
That was just the bare bones AR.
Right.
Because, like you said, an AR has modularity, and you can change a whole bunch of stuff on it, but that costs. And so, just looking at the 2 rifles, I'm going to buy the Anderson because it's a couple $100 less that I can spend into changing the rifle how I want to change it.
And you could spend in ammo and training. And that's me. Absolutely not narking full ambi rifles, full ambi pistols. Absolutely.
Oh no, we've got a
you're going to practice with them.
Well, and we've got a wrong-handed shooter here.
Exactly.
Who,
right.
Like, those features can be very good for.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But so we've shot them both,
especially for new shooters.
Yeah.
Especially new shooters who are going to learn that battery of arms right from the get-go.
Yeah.
I would be curious, Garth. You're a southpaw shooter, but you probably grew up shooting mostly right-handed stuff, right?
I shoot exclusively right-handed stuff. If I shoot
Still
left-handed stuff, it bothers me.
Right.
I can't do it
because you didn't learn that way.
I don't know how to function on it.
Right.
So, yeah, and that's one where when we keep pushing through, looking at this stuff, it's all right. Yep, like that makes sense. And the full ambi on it, the PSA, like we ran those out, and literally I went from 50 yards to 350 yards with both of them.
Yeah.
Just ding, 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 and walked everything out. We were shooting again,
that would have been fun to take up on the silo. Let the operations guy or director of rooftop operations put that to the test, but we didn't have time.
Yep. And it was, again, we were running these with LPVOs, so they didn't have the big,
right.
You wouldn't think of them as like doing accuracy work with it because it was set up for that kind of mid-range engagement. And honestly, I had 2 LPVOs that were same, but different that were laying around, so I could use them as the, as the test bed. And they were both fine rifles.
Yeah.
I know that, going through it, there were a handful of features on it. I do not see the economy in. I don't think the price jump is worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on the price jump.
Which one?
For the PSA, because it's about $400 more than the Anderson, or $300 more than the Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at $1,299, so $1,300 rifle versus a $1,000 rifle.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of extra features that are a little bit nicer, but
how many people are going to keep that gun stock?
Yeah. Well, how many people are going to keep that gun stock? And then the other part is, I know there's people out there that are going to go, I do this, and I'm going to go train with it. And it'll be, with me in the trenches of Ukraine and everything, which is.
If you're not shooting a 308 suppressed, you're shooting it wrong.
Yeah, they're loud. They hurt.
They're so loud.
And I know we're going to get flack for it. Oh, you sissies, blah, blah, blah.
You know what? I don't care.
For as many hundreds of rounds as I put through guns and rifles. Yeah, no, I'm glad I invested in suppressors years ago. I'm glad that I invested in gas systems and buffers. And there's a reason why those technological advances did happen to the rifles.
Exactly.
Yes, it just makes sense. And
with that being said, though, that's you can do a lot with $300-400 in the AR-10, AR-15 world. You can do quite a bit. Whether or not you want accurate. I mean, if your goal is more accuracy, you can accurize the barrel and a different trigger system. You can do a lot with $300 or $400.
Oh, you can do a ton with it.
Yep. If you're more of a run and gun guy, or I don't know if you'd CQB a 308 AR-10, but if you did, there's other things you could do with it.
Let's be real. You can put a decent $400 optic on AR and take that to 800 yards all day long.
Right. Oh, to 1,000 easy.
Yeah.
And 308 to 1,200 too easy all day long. And in running that again, that's where it is. as I paused to collect my thoughts and go, all right, yep, we had something. I was going somewhere with it. But there are people who do the CQB style with the 308 AR. There's actually a division of 3-gun called He-Man.
Yeah.
And you have to run it with a 308.
Huh.
And it's, that's what it is you're running the targets from 10 feet to 500 yards and doing it all with a 308 because you have more money than sense.
Yeah.
And it's so there are guys that do that. I am not one of them. Like, I have a setup to do it, but I know that my times would be way down in comparison.
Yep.
Just because of recoil mitigation. But we did shoot those out in the the battle of the budget bangers, or rifles of the poors, however you want to put it. I was actually really astounded at how well that Anderson did.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a nice shooting gun. Again, it was a horse apiece, but just knowing what they cost, I'll pick the Anderson every day over the Palmetto State. And that's sad because I like PSA. They've got some good products out there, man. But in this battle, they lost in my mind.
Yep. So that closes out 308s, at least for a little while, which is good because that hurts my pocketbook when we do those tests.
Oh, yeah.
Put me up on the silo. I'll hurt it more.
I know. Then after that, we moved into some training drills, and I was using these guys as, I'm not going to say guinea pigs, but since they're my shooting buddies, they also got force-fed some training stuff. And would that be the way to put it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
shoot and move. It's a perishable skill.
Yeah.
And most people don't do it. And even though we convince her, well, or there's moving and then shooting, moving and then shooting.
Well, yeah, that's the competition aspect. But, when you talk to just the average guy who owns guns, and they all say the same thing, I'm a pretty damn good shot, okay? I can go distance, and I can shoot my rifle just fine. I'm like, okay, from a bench, cool.
Yep.
Get up and move and do it.
Yep.
Get up and take different positions. Fire from a knee, fire laying down, fire standing up, fire supported, fire, unrested. Do that stuff and then tell me you're a good shot, because I know I can do it after I run the drill several times, and by from start to finish I saw improvements in myself today. But a lot of people just consider bench shooting guns.
Oh no, I fully agree too, because our local range back in town, they've got a nice 100-yard setup. They've got a nice gong setup out to the 350 yards. But 9 times out of 10, whenever I've gone out, I've seen people sitting on the benches doing that. Kudos to them. I'd rather they be shooting than not shooting at all.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've been focusing on is tripod shooting, which is another whole ball of wax.
Yes, it is.
Tripod shooting, positional shooting, actually. What I liked about your silo is you actually have a rail up top there, picking different silos and then shooting from a sitting position versus trying to not a fully height standing, squatting / whatever you want to call it position and things like that. Positional shooting is important. Yep. But like you said, also what you ran us through was shooting on the move, which is a whole ball of wax.
Oh, it's because in the real life situation, the bad guys and you are going to be able to go back to Civil War times and just take turns shooting at each other. That's how it's going to.
Well, so when we talk about shooting on the move, what we did tonight, again, this is a controlled environment on a safe range that we had, complete control of the area, all the safety precautions, etc. But when we went through, it was, we'd call to go. And I picked this up from instructors in Colorado. And instead of, always going off a timer or, saying threat, it was, hey, when we're doing these couple drills, we're not exactly shooting for time. So you might hear the timer buzzer. I might just be talking to you and yell threat in the middle of it. Or I might draw my pistol and shoot a target. And it's whatever one of those happens, it's time to, that's okay. That means go. The balloon goes up. And moving when you do it, the importance of body mechanics as you work through that become a huge thing. And I've been fortunate enough to take a lot of classes where we've worked on those things. And, okay, it's as you go through when you walk heel to toe with your toes pointing towards the target, which is hard for me because I'm naturally like duck-footed.
Yeah, me too.
You boys are duck-footed boys.
Yeah.
Not nearly as finessing as me, but I got my own issues, that's for sure.
But it's because like I'm a child of the 80s, right? And they had this thing where they're like, oh, everybody was pigeon-toed where your toes pointed together. And they had these torture devices that would strap on kids that would make their feet angle out at night.
Mm.
And I know this because I saw one, or the one that my parents put me in. And,
I saw one. I mean, the one I went through.
yeah, and it was a little pair of baby shoes on like a polished walnut thing, and it looked like a trophy stand.
Yep.
But they just put it on, and you had to put them on the kid at night, and they would bend your feet out, and it made me like overpronate.
Yeah.
Which is now something I've had to try and correct how my body is because, doctors get things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like someday, all these hockey helmets they put on kids in the 2000s are going to be, as it turns out, the head just naturally kind of fixed itself.
Right. I kind of, when we were doing the shoot on the move stuff, I mean, throw my dork card out there. I kind of wish I had my marching band shoes from back in the day. Like they actually designed the shoe, the heel, the sole of the shoe, the heel would be curved and cut to a curve in the back to naturally make you round your steps. And I wish they're totally not tactical. I wish I had my marching band shoes when we were doing that.
Hey, like you're saying that, I was doing it in cowboy boots.
You were. Garth, you were too, weren't you?
Mm.
You got your farm boots?
Hey, dudes.
Twisted X's, yeah.
Yep. Not that we're marketing anything right now.
No, it's so I was doing this first, doing the heel toe in wearing cowboy boots and walking through it. But it's heel toe, and when your full foot is in contact with the ground and you're starting to raise that or of your strong side, that's when you should be shooting, which is backwards, as Garth put out from everything else you do in life.
Well, I mean, realistically, it is like because when you play sports, throw a football, throw a baseball, throw a basketball.
As you step, right?
Your weak hand or your strong hand's ready to throw. Your weak foot is facing forward, so you can launch off your back foot and throw the ball. And in shooting, it's
opposite.
The complete opposite. And to break 35 years of that drilled in your brain isn't going to happen in an afternoon.
It's similar why a pistol shooter can really struggle with shotguns.
Yeah.
When you think of sporting clays or pheasant hunting or skeet, you want to actually focus on the target with proper cheek weld. Where a pistol shooter, you're focused on the front sight. It's totally ass backwards, and you got to flip that around. Yeah, the stepping and shooting is very, very odd. You actually have to create a rhythm in your head, right? Yep. At least I was.
Oh, it's a thing to do, and then it's learning where you're at in your step, and again, body mechanics, because you're controlling. The rifle is moving in 4-dimensional space. Because it's you have the up and down, side to side, 3-dimensional space, I guess, because we're not really going through.
Well, I mean, it's one thing, especially with a pistol. Well, pistol or rifle, you got your fundamentals. That's one thing.
Yeah.
If you're a flat range, standing on a line, heel to toe, weaver stance, whatever works best for you. I mean, I've got my personal opinion. I think we all do. Then you find yourself focusing on grip, sight picture, trigger press.
Yeah.
Boom. Well, that all goes. I mean, wouldn't you say your sight picture when you're shooting on the move is more like? I mean, we always talk about the figure eight, anyways.
Yeah, controlling chaos.
It's like a figure. I don't even know what you'd call it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Watching my optic while I was trying to walk is one thing. Remembering to breathe is another. Remembering to heel toe is something going on, and then my trigger press. I'm going, all right. It's almost like when you hear that first shot.
You almost start slapping the trigger.
Yeah, you just start slapping the trigger. You're like, all right, I'm on. Let's just keep it going.
Right.
So Dirt Racer asked a question there on from Rumble. Have you guys looked at the ACE VR system for dry fire?
Well, I have I have the Pro Shooter dry fire system. I know a lot of people like the Mantis. I haven't honestly heard of that one.
We looked at that one at SHOT Show.
We looked at a lot of SHOT Shows.
No, that was the one at the agency party, the VR headset.
Oh yeah, that was actually really cool.
Interesting.
Really expensive, but really cool.
So does that? Let me ask you this: like with dry fire, I'm an advocate of dry firing. In fact, I actually over the winter was a dork and practiced dry firing with precision rifle, making sure my reticle didn't move as you're running the bolt and doing all that. So I'm a big advocate of dry firing, but I think one of the hiccups or drawbacks to dry firing is the automatic reset setup. And I think Mantis does that, doesn't it? Does this VR setup, does it actually like allow recoil to happen? Because that's my one frustration with dry fire is I've enjoyed being able to, my system will.
The VR system,
beep.
No, it was all.
There is.
I mean, do you have to manually rack the slide every time?
No, this was a
laser? Like a
it was. You put the goggles on.
Okay.
Video game.
And it's a video game where you pull up and it computes to the gun in your hand, like you're really sighting it.
Sure.
And it's
how is that realistically when it comes to actual shooting? I'm not talking about scenario. I can see definitely the benefit of the scenario base, but when it comes to like
we're shooting
gun fundamentals,
it did a lot of them. Like it was working with a dot, and you had to present correctly with the red dot or the sights.
You couldn't just hold it in gangster. I mean,
no,
you actually had to.
Yeah.
So for like, I guess fundamentals basically is what you're saying. Yeah, it worked. I agree with you, Craig. I mean, that's the one thing I don't like about dry fire practice is because you don't get the recoil. There are systems out there that do interact on a recoil system.
The Cool Fire Trainer.
Exactly. And if I was going to get a system, that's the system I would buy because you actually feel the recoil.
Okay. And is that your normal gun?
Yes.
Or is it a gun that comes with the system?
No, you the Cool Fire Trainer system, it has a laser module in it, but it converts it, like it comes with a green gas magazine or CO2 magazine.
Yeah.
And when you pull the trigger, it gas operates.
Sure. I think that's something certainly worthwhile. But, and absolutely, like I said, my Pro Shooter system, it's great for learning how to draw from the holster, get your first round hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to rack the slide, reholster, whatever. And that's certainly better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like shooting on the move, actually, I mean, I still could shoot on the move, but you're only going to get one hit.
Yeah.
Well, that's, there's a lot of things like we could pull the CERT pistol out and work with it. But that's
maybe winter activity plans. AR-15 off the podcast winter activities of 24-25. After the election season, we will work on CERT pistols in Garth's basement.
There is going to be an election.
When God only knows. The Lord, Lord help us. That's where I come in as well, right?
But we as we keep going through this, so we kind of squirreled off there to talk about
training devices.
Yep, training devices and things of that nature. We were talking about doing that moving and shooting, and that's one of those things where guys go get training. Like this is something where, again, we're really blessed with what we have here with this scenario. The three of us, all three of us are actually certified instructors. So, we can do that and then go, hey, like, what am I doing wrong? Look at this, kind of tell me about it. And, I took on kind of the lion's share of instructing that part, just mainly because, I've done the most of that.
You've got more reps in. I mean, you know what to look for when Craig and I are screwing up.
Yep.
And we didn't realize we could give it back. So now next time, it's on.
Well, and you guys are segueing too. One thing I appreciate about you guys, I have, Nick, I serve as your pastor. Garth, we've become good friends between our friendship of shooting. Not to get sentimental, but we shoot a lot together.
We do.
As a group, I even have a men's group where we shoot in the summertime that's kicking off again here soon. And you guys get to do 3-gun shooting. I don't get to because it's always scheduled during church worship time, right?
Yep.
The pastor doesn't get to skip out on that one. I can convince my counsel, right?
Saturday we go.
Oh, Thanks for letting me know. No,
It's this Saturday.
It's this Saturday.
well, we'll see.
I
So-
made it special for you.
Right. So we've got different styles of shooting. Like I said, I'm addicted to precision. You're addicted to all things tactical. Garth, you feel like you shoot all the time on anything, quite frankly, just for fun.
Yep.
Mainly pistols, carbine,
Yep.
Mid-range close, right?
Yep.
But I think one of the biggest things when it comes to training is having a group of people, especially amongst us guys, that can be honest with each other, speak humbly, and just say, like we were giving each other feedback tonight, saying, "Hey, this is what I'm observing." We were doing the shoot, reload, shoot drill. What do you guys call it? R1R?
or 1R1.
1R1.
1R1. So I never know the names. It's just like when I was in a band back in the day, I never knew the name of the song we're playing. Like our lead guitar guy, he'd be like, I was the bass player. He's like, Craig, it's the boom, ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. I'm like, oh yeah, that song. Okay. Yep, right. So I don't know the names of the drills.
Those are bass player
You
problems.
just tell me shoot, reload, shoot, or whatever. Anyways, when we can remove ourselves, one guy's holding the timer, one guy's shooting, the other guy can just observe.
Yeah.
And that's where we're like, hey, slow is steady, steady's fast.
Yeah. That's like one of the things that my maxims that I will talk about. I'm not sure where I heard this quote is speed is fine, but accuracy is final.
Yeah.
Right. You like that one. I like slow is smooth, smooth is fast. But the thing is to be able to call each other on it.
Yeah.
And to humbly accept the critique that we're receiving is important, because it's like, I do enjoy going to the range by myself once in a while, just to run through hey, this is a new drill. I'm going to go try it out. That's cool. But if I don't catch my own errors, if I don't actually realize that I'm rushing something, and then it becomes frustration. Frustration capitalizes, and you just don't actually learn. Granted, if you're running solo, I learned a long time ago, it's wise to film yourself, right?
Yeah.
And to go back and actually sit back and watch it. But I would even say bring in Nick or bring in a friend and say, hey, this is what I recorded. What are you seeing? I mean, ammo is not cheap. Why waste it?
Oh no, that's why I like this 1R1 stuff, is because
you're 20 rounds.
Yeah, you're shooting 2 rounds at a time.
So I'm going to explain the 1R1 drill.
Yes, please do.
So we've talked a lot about we were doing some movement drills, and then we moved into the 1R1. The 1R1 is it's not the fundamental, but it's one of the best drills around for a multitude of things. I like to start either from the low ready or with a hand holstered when I do a 1R1, just because it gives me that extra rep on drawing and presenting. So after you do that, it's okay. You 1R1. You start with, you take one loaded mag, chamber around, drop the mag, put an empty mag inside your gun, and then put your mag that you just loaded out of into your mag holder on your side. Reholster, get into the low ready, whatever position, and then on command, you pull up, engage your target. Garth's making a drink.
Does your ball have a flat spot?
Yeah.
There's the quote for the night, Dooley. Sorry, we distracted.
That's fine. But you pull up and you shoot, which will make you put a slide lock or, lock the bolt carrier to the rear, because you'll have last round bolt open. So you will have to perform an emergency reload. So you fire your first round, emergency reload, then you get back into battery, whether, if it's hitting a bad device, hitting your mag release, slamming your pistol mag into your...
I wish we could actually demonstrate it, but YouTube and all that junk wouldn't allow it.
No. We'd be kicked off YouTube real quick.
Yeah. And that is... Garth's reading comments now. But when we go through this, we're doing it also with a transition and having 2 different targets to engage. So that really was helpful, because not only was it a transition, but it was 2 different presentations.
Yep.
And it made you work on reloads, draws, initial impact, transition, and that emergency reload.
Yeah, I think it would also we had a mixture between the three of us. Nick, you and I shoot red dots almost predominantly now. Garth shoots iron sights mostly,
Correct.
and is learning red dots more. But that's one of those things you can speak into too, as to I think the best time I had on the 1R1 was great, but it's like I knew because couldn't find the dot as quick as I was finding the dot quicker earlier rounds, but then I fumbled in the reload or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the smoothest one, I was like, yes, boom, or it was yes, shit, where's the dot? Boom, oh, and then everything else recovered, right? But it's just those small steps that you find yourself recovering.
What was the quote? Was it Dusty there?
He said he just got into guns and he's been. I'll read it just verbatim. How about that? Great info on running and gunning. I'm just learning the basics of running and gunning first. I've been around firearms my whole life.
Yep.
Welcome to a whole new ball game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I am. I'm not sure if I'm a good friend or a bad friend to these guys because I'm like, hey guys, this is going to be super fun. Check this out, and then they go, what?
Yeah. Well, no, it's a very real thing, though. I mean, I made the comment earlier. 99% of even avid shooters go to a range. They're not allowed to move.
Yeah.
Especially indoor ranges. They're not allowed to move. The only thing they can do is move the paper target further down the range or further closer. They can work some reload things or something, maybe.
That's
maybe depending on range rules.
And that 1R1 is a super.
Well, I mean, even thinking about 3 gunning, I mean, with the US PSA.
Do you shoot once you get to your position? Or do you get to shoot while you're moving?
There are certain stages you can shoot while you move, but what a lot of guys do is they'll do the walkthrough and they'll position themselves. I'm going to run to this position. From this position, I can see 6 targets.
You can engage all of them from that position.
And then you move to the next position. I can engage these 4 targets. And then you move again, and I can engage the rest of them or whatever.
Yeah. So what I think is valuable, and I appreciate you, Nick, you challenged me a couple of weeks ago for us to start practicing more of literally shooting while we're moving. Like literally shooting while you're walking or running, working up to running, right? I serve as our local law enforcement chaplain for all branches of our law enforcement. I don't know if people choose to do so, but if you go on YouTube and stuff like that, you find yourself finding videos of force on force encounters or officer involved shootings. And it's amazing to me to watch media just unload on why on God's green earth would an officer shoot that many rounds, or how did they miss that many times or whatever. Well, until you actually start practicing shooting on the move, like in a crisis mode, someone's running towards you or you're running from them, but you at the same time have the right to discharge your firearm, you'll never realize just how difficult it is. I sent you a video of some of our military special operations guys that they've got the GoPros mounted to their helmets as they're running shoot houses. You want to talk about shooting on the move? Holy cow, those guys. I mean, and I can't even imagine the thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds and reps. I mean, they probably shoot more on the move than they even do at a flat range anymore at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's where
you got to build up to that.
That's where it comes back to, again, we're going to come back and talk about fundamentals before you start doing shooting on the move. Like the basis of if you're just now getting into it and like thinking about, okay, I got to do shooting on the move. When you move from the bench, like when you go from the bench, first thing to do is ready ups. And ready ups,
just drawing your gun, sight picture,
or like raising your rifle, being in low ready, being in whatever position you're going to be in. If it's at the low ready with your firearm in front of you, with your pistol in front of you, with your rifle, whatever it is you have, and you might be at the low ready. You might be at patrol, which is, rifle slung. You still have control of it, but you're not actively using it, handgun holstered. However, you have all that. And so you have that, and you're in a position, pick one. It might be at high ready, and high ready, low ready, high port, SEWL, whatever you want to call it, and, compressed port, or all these things. But it's
mechanics of motion.
It's 100%. When I learned to do it, and I call it ready ups, and a lot of people do, is it's like I literally learned to do it the first time. There was a guy came through and put a marker on a target. And he goes, all right, what you're going to do is you're going to pull up and you're going to sight on that spot. Okay. He goes, ready, up. And you pull up, and when you went click, you can come down. It's dry fire. It's dry fire practice, but it's just ready, up. And you just kept doing it, and you just kept coming up, ready up, think, ready
And
up,
those are
think.
things you can do
ready,
right there in
ready.
your living room of your home.
And the important thing about it is you don't pull the trigger
Unless you see a correct target.
unless you're on right.
Yep.
But that's where you start. You start with the ready up, and then after that you start doing the moving, and then ready up, shoot, and then you get into controlled pairs. And this is all crawl, rock, run.
Yeah.
And right now, the training that we did today is very much so crawl.
Right.
Like it's between crawl and walk.
Right.
Like we're not moving to a position, because the other part was when we talked about the moving drill. I did throw one other challenge at you guys. Was not only were we moving straight linearly towards the target,
And then we went 90-degree perpendicular.
then we moved laterally.
Sideways.
And I had set out a cone course and made it even more challenging, because instead of just, hey, we're going to go the same direction every time, it's, I'm going to yell at you as you get closer. So again, you have to pay attention and can't do what I do, where, buzzer goes off and I just turn into a bullet hose, because timer goes beep and my brain shuts off and my trigger finger starts.
Yep.
But
And out of that drill, moving forward with the rifle, because we did it two ways. We did it with pistol, and then we did it with rifle and pistol, and did transitional shooting. And to walk toward a target is one thing. To sidestep in
Is
a left
another
or
thing.
right position while shooting is a whole nother thing, because then you're worried about what's over on the ground. Am I crossing my feet? Am I getting tangled in my feet? Am I going to fall over while I'm shooting?
Add a rifle to the mix.
Yeah.
Left versus right is different.
Yeah.
Depending on where you shoulder the stock. Yeah, no, those are all those things, and I remember just totally like sidestepping for a second. I remember how good I was at Call of Duty once upon a time in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Before my daughters were born. Call of Duty, as cheesy as it sounds, what I'm going with is, when it comes to shooting in the move, Call of Duty video games, they'll sort of simulate as you're running, you'll see all the motion. But as soon as you hit R1 to pull the gun up on the screen, guess what's not happening?
there's no bouncing.
There's no bouncing or
no.
movement. And you know why that is? Because you get some motion sickness playing that game. You shut it off before you finish the match. Right? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
So anyone that's played the video game, anyone that's been inspired, I don't care what it is, like you said, baby steps. Learn the fundamentals. Learn to pick up the gun. Learn to do it safely. Learn to, we're all now NRA certified pistol instructors. Some of us have other instructions as well, but yeah, the baby steps are important. I think the biggest challenge in the firearms world, especially amongst men, is humility.
Yeah.
Literally, truly. I mean, I'm 40 years old. Nick, you're 40. Garth, what are you?
Just under 40.
Just under 40. And we've been shooting for years in different facets, but to humble ourselves and say, you know what, we're gonna go back to absolute baby steps on this one.
Yeah.
I can say, shooting is a very perishable skill.
Oh, very much so.
I most of my shooting early on was shooting competitively with pistol. Now that I've become addicted to precision rifle, guess what I haven't shot a lot of? That's where Nick called me up. He's like, we're going to do some pistols today. I'm like, but I want to. He goes, we're doing pistols today. I'm like, okay, we're doing pistols today. And I would say this, the better of a pistol shooter you are, the better of a rifle shooter you can become, right?
Well, it's like you guys both said, throw a red dot on a rifle. Anyone can pretty much pick it up and shoot that thing. Throw a red dot on a pistol, new ball game.
You now realize just how bad your grip is, or just how bad your draw is.
Yeah, or how steady my hold is versus can I line it up and I'm doing this thing. It look like I got Parkinson's going on.
One of my other favorite things about red dots on pistols, teaches you recoil management.
Oh, yeah.
Tracking the dot, which is another whole ball game, which is, by the way, not step one.
No.
Nick, in fact, I think it was you the first time I put a red dot on a pistol. I think you told me dry fire, like literally rack the slide and shoot nearly 1,000 times before you ever put a real bullet in the chamber. Because once you add recoil, now you're trying to learn a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Like the first thing you need to learn is literally drawing and finding the dot. Drawing, find the dot. Then
told me that.
Then the dot.
I don't remember.
Then find the dot and pull the trigger. Then find the dot, pull the trigger. Then find the dot, pull the trigger. Then and only then, once you are 95% efficient at that, then put the rounds in the chamber.
No, and I'm not the greatest trainer in the world or anything like that, and I'm not trying to claim to be. I just have had the opportunity to do a lot, and I'm like, hey guys, I need to get this stuff out as well because I learn better by teaching.
Well, and you and I especially, we've had the opportunity to take classes from also really good shooters too. And Garth, you have two in different ways. Like, you really do need to take classes from different people.
Yeah. Oh, I've traveled around all over to take classes, like Colorado, Nebraska, Iowa.
If only economics weren't so bad right now.
I know,
because we were going to go to Ridgeline out in New Hampshire, but that's a whole different ball of wax nowadays.
No, this is another reason why I'm just like, I should get my private pilot's license.
We should. Do you got a neighbor upstairs, Garth?
I have someone upstairs. I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good thing to do.
Lock and load, Garth. Are we about closing out? Because I got a really cool thing to close out on when we do.
We are getting close, and we'll. There's a
dog too. Oh, it's Garth's brother
and a dog.
And a dog.
Glorious.
Sorry, we got distracted by dogs.
Yeah, we're about 4 months out.
But no, so like in closing, yeah, when we get into doing this training stuff, I think the most important thing we can speak to is we did a broad scope of training today. We worked with handguns, we worked with rifles, we worked with long range. The only thing we haven't done, like we didn't do anything with shotguns, although Garth did get a new shotgun. I did, and it's cool. And don't run slugs through it because it hurts your arm. Slugs just hurt in general. Because diamond upside down stuff. Yeah. Whatever that means. It's a wrestling thing. I'm stupid.
Are you Diamond Dallas Page?
Have you never seen Ready to Rumble?
Yeah, that's like way long ago.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, squirrel.
I've never been to Belize.
Yeah.
But, no, so we didn't do any shotgun work today. I mean, they didn't do any shotgun work today. I totally didn't sit in my basement for an hour and a half this morning and work on doing dual loads into a shotgun with dummy rounds, because that's not something I do in the mornings. But
days off.
I thought I'd get into tactical shotguns once. I'm horrible at it. I'm horrible at it.
Tube loading sucks.
I'll shoot a mile, but I can't tube load anything.
That's why I bought a box fed.
Pheasant hunting I can do,
yeah,
but tactical shotguns a whole. Wow. It's like martial arts with a gun.
Oh, 100%.
I literally have a callus
from loading your shotgun. Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
I have a.
Some people get calluses from playing guitar. Nick gets them from loading shotguns.
I have a 90-degree digit.
Yeah, I've been working on my shotgun loads.
Yeah.
You guys want something cool? My wife texted me while we were talking.
Sure.
So you guys, are we allowed to like cite other sites?
Yeah,
like,
whatever.
Okay, so like Babylon Bee. I don't know if you guys.
I'm aware of Babylon Bee.
I'm a big fan. So this comes from Babylon Bee and is very timely. How many guns should a normal person have? About 5. Well, that sounds like an enthusiast to me. No, a gun enthusiast has 15. Well, that sounds like someone obsessed with guns. No, people obsessed with guns have hundreds. Well, that sounds like a psycho. No, psychos seldom own guns or just get 1 or 2. Well, that sounds like a normal person, though. No, a normal person has about 5. We already covered that. So shout out to my wife, Carmen. That was a good one for the
and that is a great way to lead into next week's show as well.
Oh, that's a good. Oh,
what's next week?
You should probably show up.
Well, what is it?
Well, we're going to get into it, and there will be 5 guns involved.
You're not going to get to tell us?
Well, they are, but you'll have to tune in next week to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cliffhanger.
Oh, crazy.
Well,
yes. So we can work with that next week on the AR-15 podcast.
You bet.
Good night.
So, the one thing that we haven't talked about is our lovely sponsors, like VZ Grips. VZ Grips are great because they're made from a solid block of G10. 17-degree grip angle and a wide variety of textures from mild to extreme are also available, along with shorty versions, different colors. You can get grips for your 1911, Even your revolvers or my beloved Berettas, with a multitude of bottom profiles, safety notches, bottom cuts, and more. More than 25 textures, 27 colors are available. And there's one code that is good for all handgun and rifle grips, and that code is AR-15 podcast.
That is correct. And also, guys, go check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co for all your
morale
patches, your mouse pads or gun cleaning mats.
Mouse cleaning?
Yes, mouse cleaning. Well, yeah, my brain's
not like field dressing field mice.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, you could on them, actually. They're that clean. Or they have tin signs, or they have the Patch of the Month Club, guys.
Yes, join the Patch of the Month Club. Get cool patches. Unfortunately, we are here in the
gun room's over there. The patches are over there.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's how it goes.
What about the new coins?
Those are kind of more of an exclusive thing.
Special.
Yes, those are specials.
You got to be special.
Yeah.
But as in closing, do we have anything that we want to add before we close out?
I do. I have one thing, and I just want it to be known by everyone. Brian, enjoy the new chair.
Agreed. Furniture transport.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.
So with that, again, everyone, we will be on Wednesday again next week before we head to GunCon.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think Brian just commented. But, no, so everyone, again, thanks everybody for watching us and looking at us, seeing our faces, listening to the dulcet tones as they come out. And well, folks, everyone out there, you stay safe and stay on.